Hi there. Today I'd like to talk about the TV drama series Lioness. Now I must admit, when I saw the poster for this, I didn't really want to watch it. It looked like it was about a group of female soldiers wearing shamags and carrying assault rifles running around Afghanistan. And there's been quite a few badly made series which feature that kind of thing, and I thought I'd give it a pass. But however, two things persuaded me. One, some friends had watched it and gave it a really good thumbs up, and then when I found out it was written by Taylor Sheridan, then that was the clincher. So I watched it and I'm certainly glad I did. The term strong female characters is a bit of a cliche because it usually refers to rather cartoonish Laura Croft type characters. However, this series does feature several female characters who each in their own individual way have a particularly strong characteristic. And Taylor Sheridan, who I mentioned, he is well able to write such characters. I would mention Sicario with the female FBI agent, for example. His other work, Wind River, he also is the writer of Yellowstone, 1923, the prequel, and so on. And I would say he's probably my favourite writer at the moment because his plots are amazing. And his character is very well crafted and very human, and he puts it all together very, very well. And he covers it, or he writes about so many different genres in different time periods that it's amazing. The term Lioness is the code name for a particular type of CIA operator whose task is to form a relationship. It's a female operator who has to form a relationship with a female mark in order to get access to a subsequent terrorist target. So the mark, the female mark, is the way in to gain either direct physical access or intelligence as to location and so on to fix terrorist target. So it's supposedly based on a real program. Don't know if it's true. It'd be interesting if it was. And the cast includes Zoe Saldana, who plays Joe, who's the CIA case officer, Lazia de Oliveira Cruz, a former US Marine recon soldier who is the Lioness, Nicole Kidman, obviously famous actress, Caitlin, who's a CIA supervisor, and Jill Wagner plays Bobby, and she is a member of the security and cover team from CIA's Ground Branch. I would also mention Michael Kelly, whose passport occupation should describe him as playing CIA officers, because that's all he seems to do, most recently in the Jack Ryan series, but he does it very, very well, and he does it well in this series too. There's a dramatic opening scene in which Joe, we see her running an operation, and she has to make a very difficult, very hard decision, and it shows the realities of the supposed Lioness program and the human cost. The story then switches to Cruz, who it goes back in time 4 years previously, and Cruz is in an abusive relationship, and she's working a very mundane job, literally flipping burgers. And things come to a head, and she decides, after a particular domestic violence interlude, to escape. And she, like has happened in real life, goes to a recruiting office, ends up joining the US Marines, and has deployed several times to Afghanistan. And she's in the Force Recon, which is the special ops part of the US Marines. So it's got a good record and fits the bill for what they need for the Lioness program. So she is tasked to send her to Kuwait, dress her in finery, and send her on a shopping spree to get her next to the daughter of a terrorist target. He is a major financer and planner of terrorist operations throughout the Middle East, with a track record going back over a decade. So obviously, for the sake of the story, there's a certain amount of success, and it plays out over various locations, including Hamptons in New York, Millionaires Playgrounds, and so on. There's a side track where the CIA team go down to Texas and under the Old Pals Act, to help out another case officer, get involved in domestic operations which are beyond the remit of the CIA, and can actually jeopardize the operation. And there's hearings and committees back in DC, which we see Morgan Freeman's involved as a special guest, and everyone has to make certain allowances for the operation, the main operation, the Lioness, to go forward. There's also a bit about Joe's home life. She's married to a doctor, surgeon, and one of her family is involved in an accident, and a certain amount of medical / hospital time spent in the series on that. The whole thing plays out in Spain, and I won't give any spoilers or even hints of spoilers as to the resolution. All I can say, it does show very, very well. There's winners and losers, and there's a human cost and a psychological cost to be paid in this kind of thing. I found the finale, like a lot of very, very good dramas, you don't know how it's going to get resolved, how the writer's going to be able to resolve it. It seems insurmountable, but without any major MacGuffins or leaps of faith or anything like that. Very, very cleverly and credibly, it's all resolved, but in a way that I just didn't anticipate. The only criticisms I'd mention, a friend of mine who has very similar viewing taste to me watched it, and he loved it, except for the hospital stuff. He thought that took away from it. I didn't. I found it fitted in very well. It gave extra dimension to Joe. The thing I will criticize it for is that Cruz, even though she was a US Marine and she's been earmarked, given a tap on the shoulder to be a Lioness, they don't train her. Now, the job of the Lioness, as I understand it from watching this, is she's an operator. She has to be able to handle various situations, and they don't train her for that. It's not something that an infantry / special operations soldier is trained for. It would take minimum of 6 months of training in tradecraft, covert communications, elicitation, lots and lots of scenario work, lots and lots of stress being put on, being placed in situations where they have to talk the way out, come up with a cover story at the drop of a hat, be challenged on a cover story, be able to respond to it, and in short, shed all the trappings of being a soldier to become a covert operator. And it's actually reflected in the series, because at one stage Cruz actually says, you know, she's going through a bit of an episode. She said, I'm not trained for this. And it's true, she has not been trained for it. And it showed where Joe briefs her for one thing, and she responds by saying, Roger that. And Joe says, so get rid of that military terminology, you're not in the army. And that's something that would have been ironed out in a long training program. So that's my only criticism. It could have been shoehorned in. You know, there's a time gap of 4 years in the whole process, but it wasn't. So apart from that, I find it totally enjoyable. Obviously, I was thinking, is there a second series? And when I had a look, the title Lioness, when that was the title when it was made, but just before it was released, they put a prefix on it of Special Operations, so Special Operations Lioness. And the rumour is that that's going to be the name of a continuing series, Special Operations, and then within that there will be individual series about different aspects of Special Operations. So it probably won't be another Lioness story. So I await that with interest. I can't recommend this highly enough. The acting's top notch. The production value is very, very high. The action, and there's a lot of action, very, very believable. All the actors portray their parts as former Special Ops guys very, very well. And the plot is brilliant. And all I can say is Taylor Sheridan has done it again.